Hey guys, Native American Tatanka. You're listening to We Are Wrestling, old school versus new school. It's again Native American Tatanka. Peace. I'm out.
Stick to what you know how to do best. That's talk into that and sign checks. Leave the rest on to me, Daddy.
Up goes Blanchard. My hard-earned tax money.
1, 2, 3. Guaranteed victory.
It's always you, Brett.
Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass.
If you smell what the Rock is cooking.
I can tell you it's going to be a day that I'm never going to forget.
A lot of things I want to get off my chest.
What is up? We are Wrestling Maniacs out there worldwide. I'm the host with the most, Mr. We Are Wrestling himself, the best one, Donnie, here with...
Hey, what's going on, everybody? I am back again. I am the voice of the faithful, the ring announcer for Blitzkrieg Pro, and an all-around just old guy, Phil McManus, here to join Donnie and talk about the world and amazing art of professional wrestling.
That's right, and this week for the season finale of Old School versus New School, we're going to be going back into time. We're going to be covering some of the most defining moments in professional wrestling and what if. Because a lot of us, pro wrestling fans out there, we always look back into times and we say, what if this didn't happen? What would be happening in the industry? But before we dive into all that, if you're not a We Are Wrestling Maniac yet already, and you're not a part of the thousands of subscribers, the best way to support us is by hitting that subscribe button now, turning on the post notifications. Videos be coming out of nowhere like an RKO, and of course, you already know, the grind is real.
It is. I mean, I got nothing to say to that. You're right, it is. I mean, it's a hell of an intro you got yourself there, dude. It's good.
The introduction to the We Are Wrestling, YouTube channel, it's always the perfect way to just, get everything started on
No,
here.
it really is, man. It's kind of like the art of the promo, dude. You're basically like when I'm ring announcing right now, I've noticed, because I never really thought I'd be doing this aspect of wrestling. I like to go out there and judge the crowd and just see how much fun they're going to be. So I'm like, okay, is this going to be a party crowd? Is this going to be more of a clapping crowd? And then just get everyone on my energy level, dude. And you do that so well here that, it's like we're brothers in different ways for that, man. And it's like, I appreciate every aspect of this business and the podcasting side of it, man. That's why I'm so excited about We Are Wrestling and doing something with you guys is you don't just have the heart and the passion for the business, dude. Like, you got the chops for this business. You're delivering something that most podcasts don't have these days, and that's why I'm glad to be affiliated with you guys, man.
That's right, and the last time we had you was on Old School versus New School, episode 9, and since then, how's everything been? Because we now notice that with Blitzkrieg Pro, you're the ring announcer over there now.
Yeah, I've done it a few times just because, hey, what the hell, go out there. It's kind of like having a promo, dude. It's anyone who's in the business will tell you, dude, the feeling you get having everyone right there in the palm of your hands, man. It's the crack that moves us, dude. We're all crackheads for that. It's getting a reaction from people, man. It's addicting in a way that nothing can match to me. And that's why I love this business. And so, yeah, I took the full-time gig of that now. So now I'm your full-time Blitzkrieg ring announcer, but I'll also still be bringing in talent here and there and helping with the autograph sessions, the marketing aspect. But yeah, man, it's cool to be a different part of it now and to be able to get that feeling again, dude. Just the big gratification of being able to say we are Blitzkrieg Pro and lifting the mic and hearing everyone scream that we are the faithful. It's a great feeling, dude.
Such an incredible way to like start the Blitzkrieg shows off. Like I feel like it's just a great way to like get the vibes, get the beautiful energy going on in the arena.
Oh, dude, yeah, that's the thing. That's why I came up with it. It's funny because like everyone knows that like we call our fans the faithful, and I was in Vermont. Yeah, it was Vermont. We did a show in Kirby Wackerman's hometown, dude. Kid got the Road Warrior pop at a half that night, man. It was fantastic, and
absolutely deserves it.
And I said to myself, I just went in my head, Blitzkrieg faithful. I'm like, we are Blitzkrieg Pro, and you. And then I'm like, lift the mic. I'm like, oh, dude, let's try that. So this place we've never been before. We haven't done this town yet. It was Brattleboro, Vermont. Super excited to try somewhere new, and didn't know what the crowd was going to be like, man. The minute I came through that curtain, dude, just the energy was addicting. You can also find us on IWTV under Blitzkrieg Pro. Watch the show. Great stuff. Brattleboro, Vermont.
Only $10 a month.
Was just fucking fire all night, man. So when I was like, we are Blitzkrieg, and then we are the faithful, it was so dope. I couldn't help but do it like 2 more times. And at that point, I'm like, all right, Phil, once or twice is good, dude. But like, it just sounded so good and it was so new. I'm like, I want to hear it again. I want to hear it again. It gets addicting, dude. So yeah, I'm addicted to something else now besides marijuana.
There you go, man. Absolutely. Before we dive into some of those what ifs, what would you consider in pro wrestling a defining moment?
Defining moment? For me, it's something that doesn't just change like a storyline or move you to a new part of like an era. It's something that breaks through and also like hits outside the wrestling world. Like, for example, when Hogan slammed him, that wasn't just a WrestleMania moment. That was a world moment. I mean, you say, hey, name a wrestler. 9 times out of 10, I believe someone's going to say Hulk Hogan if they name as many as they can. Same with Andre the Giant. They just transitioned. And back then, it was such a big deal. WrestleMania 3, that iconic slam. I mean, hell, it's in the WWE intro. I think it's been in almost every WWE intro.
Even the old school versus new school intro.
Moment.
But yeah, no, like for me, I feel like a defining moment is something that's like a needle mover. Like for me, I've always appreciated the storytelling in pro wrestling because there's only so many moves you can do. And I just feel like, you know, in the ring, like the reason why right now the Bloodline is the most entertaining thing in professional wrestling, sports entertainment right now is because of the story. They have you invested. Every single character in that group, going from the Wise Man to Jay to Jimmy to, you know, the Tribal Chief, Roman Reigns, even Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens got themselves in it. It's so interesting, and like the way that they build the shows around the Bloodline, that's why right now that's the reason why WWE is in the position that they are and why they're the number 1 in wrestling.
I agree with you 100%. And for me, the day that it really popped was pre-Survivor Series, SmackDown, the promo where Sami Zayn said one word, Usi. Once that word came out, dude, and you see everyone trying not to break, hiding their fucking shit, man, like, that was a moment, dude. And then you had Survivor Series, the War Games match. That was a moment. Then you had the fucking Sami match. That was a moment. WrestleMania with Cody. That's the moment. The Bloodline is legitimately just making all the moments right now. I mean, if you try and find moments outside of the Bloodline in the past 2 years, like, quick, think of a big moment in WWE outside of a Bloodline storyline in the past 2 years.
Cody Rhodes, maybe, but that's nothing compared to the Bloodline.
But here's the thing. It's kind of like that, the 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon. You bring in Cody Rhodes. Yeah, he fought Seth Rollins, had an amazing year before that. And the Hell in a Cell match. Fuck yeah, but what's it all lead to? Roman Reigns at WrestleMania.
So how did you feel about that decision with them, you know, pretty much not finishing the story with Cody? Because a lot of people criticize WWE for not having Roman, you know, lose the titles at WrestleMania 39.
There's parts of me, certain parts of me feel different about it than other parts of me do. Like, the more time went by past it, I'm glad they did what they did. And I think it was really, really good storytelling. because there's so much more of this bloodline storyline to go with Jay and with Jimmy that if someone finally beats Roman, it should be one of them, which makes sense and it'd be dope. And plus, this also can lead to the fact that Cody is going to go through some hard times, baby. He's going to have his own version of hard times. He's going to have to go through Brock Lesnar. He's going to have to go through Randy Orton if he comes back. Seth Rollins. I think it all leads to Cody winning the Rumble again now, or Cody getting the main event of WrestleMania against Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 40 in Philadelphia. And
I feel like that's like what they're leading up to, like just the way like they're doing it. Like I really like the way that him and Brock Lesnar's feud was.
Oh
like,
God, dude, out of nowhere.
Because for me, man, like after WrestleMania going into Backlash, the storyline wasn't there. But then when Brock, got some color and they built that intensity going from Backlash to Night of Champions, they got something good going now.
Oh, it's awesome now, man. I mean, you're right. The build-up, I was like, oh, okay, sure. This is kind of cool. And the victory was neat. And then him jumping him and being that beast Brock Lesnar again and finding that rage, man. Like, dude, I'm just glued now. It's like, oh yeah, give me more of this, dude. I'm thinking last man standing at SummerSlam, if they can hold it off that long.
Oh, I got 2 matches for SummerSlam, potentially. I would like to see Cody versus Brock.
I'm thinking Cody Brock, last man standing, SummerSlam, and I'm thinking Roman and Jay or Jimmy.
So here's what I think. It should be Brock Lesnar versus Cody Rhodes in either Hell in the Cell or an old stipulation match, which I always enjoyed in the Ruthless Aggression era, 3 Stages of Hell.
Could they bring that back, dude? I mean, that'd be awesome. I'd love to see it back, but I mean, that'd be something they're hiding from us very well. Because I've heard no rumblings of it. In a perfect world, that'd be incredible. I'd love to see that.
That's right. And in a perfect world, in pro wrestling, there's a lot of what if scenarios. And there's a lot of times where we look back at certain booking decisions and us, the universe, us, we are wrestling maniacs, us fans of this sport criticize. And we look back and say, what if at WrestleMania Cody Rhodes beat Roman Reigns? What would have happened? And in pro wrestling, with this week's episode of Old School versus New School, that's what we're going to be diving into is the what ifs. Old School versus New School.
When we decided we were going to do this, I came up with 2. I came up with an old school one and a new school one. And with that introduction you gave, this isn't more of a booking decision. Mine is more the new school one if something didn't happen, and the old school one if something didn't happen. Where would the business be right now? So I'm going to let you pull the trigger. Do you want old school or new school first?
Let's start off with the old school.
What if the curtain call never happened because Kevin Nash and Scott Hall got offered enough money to stay in WWE?
Ooh, that's an interesting one because in WCW, that's like what I was going to talk about was what if in WCW we never got the finger poke of death.
The finger poke of doom, dude? So that all goes to what I'm saying too, is you look at it this way. If Kevin Nash and Scott Hall didn't make that leap to WCW, the NWO wouldn't exist. There'd be no NWO.
That definitely adds really some questions there because the NWO is what really catapulted World Championship Wrestling.
And not just WCW, it made the Attitude Era happen. So if they stayed, would WWF at the time still have TL Hopper, The Goon, Techno Team 2000, The Smoking Guns, Gold Dust, all that because you remember it was Diesel, Razor Ramon, Shawn Michaels was still just the Heartbreak Kid, DX wasn't around. They were still in that era of transitioning from the Hulk Hogan days.
I'll tell you what we wouldn't have. We wouldn't have had fake Diesel or fake Razor Ramon.
We wouldn't have that. That's for sure. But that is for sure. We'd probably still have fucking Glenn Jacobs playing Isaac Yankem DDS. But
man,
you think about
crazy.
The industry itself, man. You got to look at it because WCW needed that one big hire from WWF to really get that shot to start the Monday Night War, and that's what Kevin Nash and Scott Hall gave it, the shot to start the Monday Night War. So before that, we had Lex Luger show up on Nitro after he like left WWF the night before.
Yep, that was the first episode of Nitro, right, in the mall.
So now if we don't have Kevin Nash and Scott Hall, there would have to be someone who jumped ship from WWF at the time to WCW to make them competition, because there wouldn't have been still. And also, without that NWO, you wouldn't have the Attitude Era, the Steve Austins, the DX, all that shit. Would that shit still be relevant, or would he be the fucking ringmaster? Like, it's such a weird topic, but I mean, I think personally there would have been one guy who jumped ship. Because if he gave Scott Hall and Kevin Nash that kind of money to stay, one of his other loyal guys would probably get upset and take a phone call, and that man's name would have been The Undertaker.
100%. And the thing is, in pro wrestling, something that we've learned through the years since then, since Kevin Nash and Scott Hall, took a better opportunity in WCW, is when there is other options out there, guys, they go back and forth.
Absolutely.
Like right now, I think within, the rest of 2023 and 2024, we're really going to see a lot of AEW guys go over to WWE, and I think we're going to be seeing a lot of WWE guys going over to AEW. And one of them, I think that we're going to be seeing in AEW pretty soon, is Drew McIntyre.
Oh, dude, yeah, all out. He's got to be the main thing in Wembley Stadium. He's got to be the big surprise. And I mean, as much as I love Tony Khan's weekly surprises that can be wait till next week for a better surprise, or hey, look, it's this person, but they're not. We'll
Tony's huge announcement.
You know how I feel about that stuff, but I think that like if you got Drew McIntyre to go in there as Drew Galloway, and you could do something there. That could be a shot, but it's got to have good creative, and you got to have something to do with him after a month. You can't just get bored with him.
And that's the thing, like, when it comes to, like, these wrestlers transitioning from different promotions, that's what I want. They need to have a plan. And I'm not talking 1 week, 2 weeks, or 3 weeks.
Exactly, dude.
It needs to be 6 months from now. It needs to be from a year from now. They need to look at it from the television side of things.
Yeah,
and that's the issue that all these wrestling promotions have in today's wrestling.
I agree with you 1,000,000%. There's only a few storylines that have been long-term storytelling. And I think that who suffered the most from this has been the women. There hasn't been really any good women feuds outside of a tag team championship or a women's championship up until recently, when what you're doing right now is, if you look at the Trish Stratus and Becky Lynch feud, there's no title involved. It's a fucking great feud. They put on a banger at Night of Champions, and I mean, dude, like, you have a good storytelling feud for the women right now that has been a longer term feud, and it doesn't involve a belt, because let's face it, you're not going to take the belt off Rhea for a long time probably right now.
Yeah, you're definitely not taking the title off of Mommy anytime soon.
No way. No way. I'm so glad that Asuka finally got her glory, but god damn it, that girl deserves it at WrestleMania one of these years.
I'm so mad about that, and I know my opinion is so unpopular. I got blasted for my reaction video when Asuka won the championship from Bianca. I don't know. I felt like they should have catapulted somebody new to beat Bianca.
Okay. See, I think what they did here is, listen, is it great that they gave it straight to Asuka? No. Is it going to change something to bring up more stars like you want? Yes, and here's how. If you just gave it straight to a new star, the new star is not going to be relevant enough right now, dude. You got Trish Stratus and Becky Lynch in a feud. You got Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler, who just won the tag team titles. You got Rhea Ripley in the run of a lifetime, dude. So how do you build a new star during that? Okay, cool. We have Bianca Belair. She's the John Cena of the women's division, dude. She's the hustle, loyalty.
So over. The kids love her.
Good with the kids, good with the meetings, good with like the commercials, just great success, good talker, great person. You can't have someone new beat her, but you can have someone new beat Asuka.
That is true. That's a really good take there. I really gotta agree with you on that one, 100%.
So it's like, yeah, them giving the belt to Asuka is great. Not just because Asuka got the belt, but because we can elevate new stars and start new feuds.
Creates more opportunities.
because Bianca's going to have one more one-off with her dude for the rematch. So it'll probably happen at the next pay-per-view. But after that, it's going to be like you got a Money in the Bank winner at that point to write into storylines to think about. And you can push in a few new characters to get in there who could use a good singles match, like Io Sky. Like I guarantee you, they'll give her another good one, dude.
I'd love that, man. Io Sky really showed what she can do at Backlash.
Oh, absolutely. That was great, man. She was fantastic that night. But like, yeah, that's how you elevate new stars and you bring new stars up. You get someone who can go out there and make someone a star and be relevant, but you're not going to hurt the person at the same time too. Where Asuka can take a loss. Bianca takes a loss. That's huge.
Big deal.
So like, if that person doesn't work out after beating Bianca, you're just going to put it right back on her and have her go again.
But speaking of new stars,
how many times he dropped and got that fucking title, dude?
But I got to say, like, speaking of new stars, I really like how they added Zoe Starks with Trish Stratus, because when she got called up from NXT going to the main roster, she had no reactions with the crowd because you have to realize NXT is, the diehard fans. When it comes to WWE, it's the casual fans. And
because no one
I like how they're putting Zoe Starks in that situation, because with her working with Trish and Becky, she's going to start becoming relevant more.
Absolutely. It's an automatic push. I mean, you're looking at it where she has the opportunity of a lifetime to work with a fucking like legend like Trish Stratus and a soon to be legend like Becky Lynch, dude. Like, she's going to learn so much more of the business. She's great in the ring. It's nothing but up from her from here if she takes it that way and like really utilizes this, because like you said, her debut, it was crickets. I like to say when I'm watching TV and I see a bad debut, like, and everyone is in their seats, because that's what it feels like. It's like, wow, you really see no one caring right now. And that's what her debut was like. But now you look at it after like aligning with Trish the other night at Night of Champions, the reaction she got on Monday, it's like night and fucking day, dude.
I think so. And like now, going back into the WCW What If with the NWO, I think that it wouldn't have been as successful without the big three: Hogan, Hall, and Nash. But I do think that Eric Bischoff, he had this plan for years to do the New World Order. I think that it would have been Hulk Hogan turning heel still. I think we still would have gotten that big thing that happened at Bash at the Beach. And I think that they probably would have had maybe Macho Man right away, and maybe somebody from WWF at the time.
Taker. Maybe Taker comes over and aligns himself there. But this is where it's fun. This is where I'll disagree with you there. And here's why I'll disagree, because there might be something I know that you don't know, is that the phrase New World Order wasn't planned. That was never the planned name of the group. Hulk Hogan just came up with that day and said it sounded good.
That's
so
insane.
Bischoff didn't really have a plan. He just knew that, like, we're fucking turning Hulk Hogan. That's the fucking big thing right there. But where I think, like, if you don't have the Hall and Nash coming over to do the invasion angle, because you got to remember, when that happens, we're watching WWF and we're seeing Razor Ramon, and we're then seeing WCW, him walk in the crowd. And what does he say? You know who I am and you know where I'm from. It looked for weeks like WWF and WCW were going to have a fucking feud. And that is where Bischoff's genius came in, by making it look like WWF was the ones coming over there. Because then all of a sudden he's like, I remember, I'll never forget it, dude. We see the announce booth, the cutout, Scott Hall's there, and then Nash walks into frame, dude, and just pats him on the shoulder, and you see him for the first time, and you're like, holy fuck, Diesel's there. WWF is definitely taking over. What the hell's going on here? It became must fucking watch, dude.
And you want to know what made it work?
Go on for as long as they did to lead to that Bash at the Beach, where they were going to have that mystery partner, and everyone's fucking brain was like, who from WWF is coming? Who is going to team with this guy? Who's it going to be? Who's this? Then Hogan walked out. And everyone was like, nah, he's just there to help Macho Man and them. Where's the third guy? And when he did that fucking leg drop, dude, like, that is one of the biggest defining moments in wrestling history. If you shape the Mount Rushmore of, like, big moments in wrestling, I'll be honest, dude, it's hard for me to make that not number one or number two. That leg drop didn't just change wrestling, it made the Monday Night War. It made the Attitude Era. It made what we know today. if it didn't happen, how did you get there?
And that's the thing. Like, back in the day, we didn't have these smartphones, so this was able to come off real. And I think Eric Bischoff, he was inspired by a lot of things going on in New Japan at the time, because I remember listening to his podcast, 83 Weeks, and he said that he was really inspired from what New Japan was doing because they were going more in the reality base around that time, because WWF did the opposite. They were more appealing to the children.
It was so bad, bro. Like, it got so bad. You had, like, I remember you had a few good wrestling matches, but you were watching it with the wrestling. The gimmicks were awful. The gimmicks were so bad. Like, anytime there was a debut, it was either someone's profession being used as a gimmick or just something ridiculous, dude. Like, it's a lot of us now look at some of these gimmicks and are like, wow, like, we have nostalgia for it. But when you were living through it, and as a wrestling fan and as a teenage wrestling fan at the time, I just was craving something different, man, because I was watching, like, ECW. I was watching NJPW stuff, King of Deathmatch stuff. Like, I was really, like, getting into, like, the art of professional wrestling and just how different it can be. And when that happened, it changed. It kind of changed the industry in a way of not just, like, a goofy wrestling gimmick with promos, but, like, it felt more like a reality TV show gone fucking haywire, man. It really just fit the era that was the 90s into the early aughts.
And that's the thing, like, I really think the Attitude Era, that's what really catapulted pro wrestling.
Yes.
Like, it was still very, you know, popular with Hogan, Ultimate Warrior, Macho Man, but the Attitude Era is where, like, the viewership, it never got as high.
Dude, I remember it being in school, and it was between, like, 10th grade and senior year. So sophomore to senior year, it went from, like, oh, God, you watch wrestling? To, holy fuck, did you see wrestling last night? It went from, like, being this thing you'd be made fun of for watching to everyone smelling what the fucking Rock was cooking, if you know what I mean. Like, it's...
Wearing
I tell you what, I have
shirt,
a story.
Like a DX shirt.
I have a story that you don't know yet, okay? That is my biggest wrestling story. So I'm going to give you a little hint of it. And what I'll say is when me and you do that new project that's coming soon, we can do that on the first episode, go through the whole story before we get into the new person. So here's a little hint of it. So I was never allowed to walk the aisle and graduate with my senior class. They had cops at the door for me. And I was also on Sports Illustrated. I was in WWE Magazine. I was on the Howard Stern show for what I did to have this happen.
Damn.
It is, let's just say it involves wrestling, a wrestling t-shirt, and me getting in a lot of trouble for it.
DX, suck it.
Mr. Ass, actually.
Ah, Billy Gunn!
So a little more snippet then. Senior class day, I had it underneath my gown, the Mr. Ass shirt.
Yeah.
And I had streamers like the Macho Man on my thing, and my principal was like, you better not show that fucking shirt, Phil. And I'm like, oh, who, me? I would never do that, kid. So since I walked out unzipped, whoo! But yeah, that led to them kicking me out of graduation because of the profanity on my shirt. So the smart thing I did was call WWF Magazine and tell them about it. They put me in the magazine. I was on SportsCenter. Howard Stern wanted to throw me a graduation party at Scores. We were getting hate mail, dude. I still got the newspaper clippings. It was fucking crazy.
That is awesome. Wow.
Yeah, so wrestling defined my life. Let's just say that, dude. So working in wrestling now, it's like, fuck yeah, dude. I love it, man.
You made your commitment right when you were about to walk down the aisle to get your diploma.
Well, dude, I wasn't going to walk the aisle without styling and profiling, bro.
Styling, profiling. Woo!
So, but yeah, man. So we're losing train of thought and topic real quick. I blame that on marijuana and just the fun of talking with you. But yeah. So we went through the old school defining moments. For us to sit there and talk about what the world of professional wrestling would be like if the NWO and Attitude Era didn't exist would take 10 fucking episodes. Like, there's no way in fuck you could cover all of that without like hours of conversation of what ifs, because it was probably the most defining moment in wrestling history.
There is one what if I do have that's old school during the Attitude Era.
What's that?
What if the Montreal Screwjob never happened?
That's another big one, dude. That's another big one. Brett stayed. Brett kept the belt, retired. Now, are you talking where Brett kept the belt, the original plan, then retired it on Raw and left for WCW still?
Yes.
Or are you okay? Then I don't know if that still happened.
Wait, okay, I got a great question here from a new school fan to an old school fan.
Okay, let's go.
Do you think Bret Hart would have brought the WWF Championship to Nitro?
No.
Do you think he actually would have done that?
I don't. No, I've met Bret a handful of times, and when I was younger and the Mr. Ass thing happened, I actually met Owen a bunch. Owen, I got to whenever there was a show in Springfield, I'd get backstage and Owen would bring me. My graduation cap had the Rock's autograph and a picture of me and him on it, dude. So I love the Hart family. I always will have a special place in my heart for the Hart family. Hell, I have a tattoo of Owen on my leg that I've had for, 15 years now. I don't think Bret's the kind of person that would do that.
You know something? I always think about that because one thing that Bret Hart has always been in pro wrestling is loyal. And he's always been such a big leader in the locker room and the way he presented himself. The best there is, the best there was, the best there ever will be. And I feel like Bret Hart, it would be against his beliefs to bring a championship to a promotion that he busted his ass for it at his family's history. I don't see him, going to WCW, having the championship, spray painting on it or whatever. I don't think.
No, I don't see any or throwing it in the trash like Medusa did. I don't see Bret doing that, but I'll say this. I don't think if the Montreal Screwjob didn't happen, that anything really would have changed. The thing that the Montreal Screwjob did, unfortunately, it wasn't really changing the business. It was, actually, now that I said that out loud, wait a second, maybe there is something. Because, see, if you really look at it, shit, that's the birthplace of the biggest villain in WWE history, Mr. McMahon.
Yeah, that really is because...
Would he have been a TV personality bad guy as bad without that screw job?
And the thing that I really think about with this what if is, what if Bret Hart did re-sign with WWE and they did a whole angle on this, and that's what started the Attitude Era before Austin and McMahon?
So Bret gets angry at the screw job, comes back, a la fucking when CM Punk left, put the belt in the fridge, went to the Cubs game with it, and then at SummerSlam fought for the belt versus belt thing.
Oh, I'm saying Shawn Michaels still wins. Bret gets screwed, but the difference is you have these vignettes where Jim Ross, talks to Vince. Basically, when Vince said, "Oh, Bret screwed Bret," and then you had Bret Hart come back,
with all the swerve,
and they pull the swerve.
Okay, yeah, that could be the ultimate catapult for heel Bret Hart, that's for sure. But also hero Bret Hart. You could go both ways with that one. But yeah, dude, that would be huge. Would it be NWO huge though? No, because it wasn't Hulk Hogan. It's what really birthed it. Steve Austin did birth the Attitude Era, but the Attitude Era wouldn't have happened if Hulk Hogan didn't turn into a bad guy, because they wouldn't have been forced to jump to the Attitude Era that quick to compete with WCW.
That is true, and they were losing for 82 consecutive weeks.
Yeah. Listen, the Attitude Era, to me, this is gonna sound really fucking weird, dude, but it's like that weird tank top you see that people wear that's form-fitting, that says it makes you lose your belly and you can put a shirt on over it and feel a little confident. People really just think about how great the Attitude Era was without remembering just how fucking much of a lie that really is. There's a lot of shit in the Attitude Era, dude, but the stuff that was good was just that good. So it's it hides itself because, see, you're also looking at a time of Meat. Do you remember Meat?
I do not know.
Do you remember the Oddities?
The Oddities, yes, I do remember the Oddities.
Do you remember the Job Squad?
Yep, Job Squad.
Do you remember the Disciples of Apocalypse?
I do.
It's a lot of that stuff was shit. If you really go back and look at it, it was pretty fucking bad. DOA versus Los Pericuas, that was so bad, bro. And then you had Naked
Evil,
Midian,
indeed.
Viscera, it was weird. There's a lot of love for it, and yeah, it looks great. It's a form-fitting shirt that you look good in, but you're really hiding that. There's a lot of bullshit with it. The Attitude Era is almost over-glorified in the way that yeah, there were some great moments in it, and it did define wrestling now to make it where we are now. But again, without Hulk Hogan, but without another person, without Paul Heyman and ECW, we wouldn't be getting those promos or that crazy shit, dude, where we'd go, okay, Attitude Era, what are we going to be? ECW, but with a budget.
Yeah, and I just really think, like, going back, into time, like, with the whole, Attitude Era thing, and, like, any era of professional wrestling, there's always going to be those highlights, but there's also some bad to it. And I think through time, things become nostalgia, and this is something I'm noticing in 2023.
Bingo,
we're looking back at these moments, and now even people are starting to appreciate the PG era during like 2010.
Yes, one of the best, dude. I loved the PG era, dude.
The Nexus.
Yes, that was great.
CM
stuff,
Punk's
man.
Pipe Bomb.
Yeah, there was a lot of
Zack
great
Ryder.
There's a lot of shit, but dude, there was a lot of great matches too. Like I personally loved the PG era, and I love that people are now coming around because not a lot of people liked John Cena during like that time when like you heard the boos mixed with
Super
the cheers,
Cena,
and he knew it. Yeah, exactly, dude. Everyone was so sick of it. But if you look back now and you see just what was happening, it's like, wow.
You appreciate it more.
I really appreciate John for all that he fucking did with his business. It's just sometimes we don't see it's happening, and that's what John Cena was for a lot of people. And that era, I mean, you're looking at Randy Orton, you're looking at Edge, you're looking at like some of the greatest friggin' main event matches, dude, I've ever seen in the past like 20 years.
Same thing with Ruthless Aggression too. Like a lot of people now are starting to come out and say they like the Ruthless Aggression era more than the Attitude Era.
I would agree. I think Attitude Era had more moments. I think Ruthless Aggression Era, in length, front to back, way more entertaining.
Here's what I always said about the differences between the two. The Attitude Era is like where wrestling was at its highest.
Yes.
But
and we get nostalgic for that because honestly,
when it comes to Ruthless Aggression, I think that's because with old school and new school, this is what I've always said on this podcast here. With old school, you had the great characters, the once-in-a-lifetime characters that just grabbed you from their television screens. But the wrestling was very slow.
Bland.
But then you get into Ruthless Aggression, I think like the characters were there, but the wrestling was also there. Perfect pace. But nowadays, I feel like the characters aren't really there, and the wrestling is great, but it's too fast. There's not really an average, like there's not really that like perfect pace.
I honestly, the perfect pace, I think, like if you want to watch the perfect pace these days, just watch Gunther. He works a perfect match for that stuff. He's that one person who would fit in any era of wrestling. He's something special. He is something special. But I agree with you on that. I think the characters are here, and I think the wrestling is here, but it's kind of fast sometimes. Like, I'll be honest, on Monday Night Raw this week, man, one thing I was really impressed with was the Fatal 4-Way Women's title match, man. Like, that was a banger. I was really shocked by that, and that they gave them the time to have that kind of match was also impressive, dude. I mean, there's a few like misses and shit, but I mean, it's like really giving the time to the women's division to shine right now.
Well, and since draft too, I've noticed with the women tag teams, like they've been doing segments and actually like showing them together, which I really like.
Yeah, it's
starting to make sense.
It's like Triple H took once he started and was fully in control now of like the storytelling aspect of it, and we knew it was going to be just him. We finally have like a mix of like 80s, 90s, and today. Because we have those vignettes that are coming back of current superstars. Like, that's something I've been like, wow, this is really freaking cool. This person's been here. It's not like they're debuting. They're getting a vignette on Raw. I love that. You're making me care again. The matches are longer, and they're way better. And we're listening to the fans. Like, dude, Gable is one of the best wrestlers in the fucking industry
yes,
right
he
now.
is. 100%.
And the fact that the fans have known that and appreciated him for being that enhancement talent for so long. And now it looks like as a Monday Night Raw, I mean, this is what I saw on it. I think this is the rise of their stock. And this is it because people are noticing more and they're giving Alpha Academy now that little bump, man. And
I think Maxine adds something to it too.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Whenever you have a valet or a manager, it always adds something to
yeah, dude. And that's the thing, man. It's like Gable's great with the promo. Otis has come so far in just like learning how to develop his character. And finding what it is and making people appreciate it for what it is. So I love Alpha Academy right now. But yeah, what you said, all that goes back to, yeah, I think that like wrestling today is faster paced in some areas. And that sucks because you want to watch like the slow methodical like beatdowns. but also like I don't want it to be too slow anymore.
Same
Like
here.
that's why like I love watching Gunther because he does a combination of both. Like that triple threat at WrestleMania, that was a banger, dude. Like that was amazing. That was a 5-star match. I think Meltzer gave that 5 stars, and he only usually gives those to AEW. So like, that's
But
huge right there
honestly,
in
like I
itself.
gotta say something though about AEW that I do appreciate. Yes, a lot of their matches are very choreographed and like they're very fast paced, but there are some matches that they do put on the card where it is slower pace and they change it up, which I do like a lot.
Oh, I love having two companies, man. Like I'll give AEW shit sometimes, but just because, not because I hate it, but because I love it. And I want it to be everything I know it can be if it just stops getting out of its way. Like getting in its own way.
I think for AEW, man, the biggest problem with them is the booking.
Oh, the booking's awful. And there's no real good long-term storytelling. And I'll be honest, man, like this is going to be a very unpopular opinion, so warning, I think Chris Jericho just needs to get the fuck out of there and over himself.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that think that Jericho's tarnishing his legacy in AEW.
Not even tarnishing his legacy, dude. Just like you're not really enhancing anyone anymore. You're more just doing it for yourself. You can say you're putting these people over, but when you don't have long-term storytelling that goes anywhere, how can you put someone over that way?
Yeah, Jericho has been doing a lot of, and like as a day one AEW fan and watching every episode of Dynamite.
Me too.
I can back that up with what you're saying because Chris Jericho in the beginning of his AEW run had fantastic long-term storytellings. He did great storylines with MJF, did great storylines with Orange Cassidy, John Moxley, and now ever since the whole Jericho Appreciation Society thing, like the Eddie Kingston thing felt way too long. And then, you know, he goes into a short thing with Ricky Starks, goes into a short thing with Action Andrade, who we don't even see anymore.
Exactly.
Now doing Adam Cole, which is another short
term. You don't know what to do with that guy. Why give that win? It means nothing now.
Yeah, and that's like the biggest issue that I have with AEW is just the booking decisions that they're making and the lack of long-term storytelling.
I don't mind botches. I don't mind too flippy sometimes. I really don't. I just mind, like, I want to be entertained storytelling-wise. I mean, MJF is the best thing they got going. The Acclaimed is just something homegrown that they made that's amazing, which really...
Yeah, but now AEW, like, they got lost with the Acclaimed, man.
Oh, yeah.
Let's be
Once
real.
they dropped the belts to the Guns for no reason, just to give them the FDR to resign.
They should have had Billy freaking turn on the Acclaimed, and then that could have catapulted the Guns. And they should have done that at Revolution, not a random episode of fucking Dynamite.
Hey, did you see what I mean, though? That's right there, what you just did. That's how I know that you're a true AEW fan, like I am. And, like, because you can criticize and get mad at the product because you know just how good it could have been. Mm-hmm. It's like that friend who doesn't want to fucking, like, get on in life. And they're like, oh, no, I'm going to do it this time. Then they get that one day, and you're like, yeah, man, go. Then they just fall right back down. It's like, bro, you were fucking there. What happened, man? Come on.
Yeah. But now, you know, diving into the what ifs for New School.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Because we're fucking going long here, dude. Wow.
Yeah, we are.
I'll give you my New School what if. This isn't a booking decision. This is an injury. What if Finn Balor didn't get injured winning his first Universal Championship?
Damn.
What if he had that run? Because you got to think of it, dude. Ready? He came from NXT as the Demon. The Demon was undefeated. He came on the main roster. Got fucking catapulted right away. Demon came out. Everyone's fucking like, yes, he's going to be the Demon. Universal title now. Ready? Him and fucking, oh my God, man. It's him and, oh wow, this is him and
Seth Rollins.
No way. Like, how are we going to, this is amazing. Then the Demon versus Rollins, bro. It's SummerSlam. And it's like, oh my God, this is going to be awesome. Match. 5-star fucking classic. Finn Balor, the Demon, is now the champion. And he has to give up the belt on Raw the next night, and they didn't know what to do with him for a long time after that. And I mean, if he had that run where they didn't just give him the ball, they fucking put on the pads and said, here you go. And he had that run, dude, what would WrestleMania have looked like? Here's what I think it would have looked like. I think at that point, Taker would have fought the Demon.
Ooh. I don't know, because around that time, Taker was dealing with a lot of injuries. I don't think that he would have worked with a young guy like Finn Balor around that time.
I agree with that statement, but I think if he was going to go out and he was going to put someone over, and everyone would be talking about it. You got to think about it, dude.
Mm-hmm.
If Balor was the Demon at every pay-per-view defending that belt from SummerSlam to WrestleMania, you get an amazing Royal Rumble entrance.
Demon versus Dead Man. That has money on it.
That's what I'm saying. It leads to the Dead Man. Like the Dead Man versus the Demon. Like, can he conquer his demons? And bro, like, I can see the vignettes for Mania. I can see like just how awesome that would have been. And I mean, I say to myself, okay, if that happened, where would these people be? Because like Finn would be on another level right now.
I think him and Bray Wyatt, they could have done something there long term. Like Finn Balor being at like the highest of his game, and then having Bray Wyatt as the Eater of Worlds. They definitely could have done stuff there.
That would have been amazing, dude. You would have seen this whole new era of wrestling that we don't know where it would have been. So that's always like in the back of my mind is what if Balor never had to relinquish that title?
But here's what I'm gonna say about that though. It honestly kind of worked out for WWE because when Finn Balor had to drop the title on that random episode of Monday Night Raw after SummerSlam, they decided to crown a new champion. So they had a fatal 4-way match, and that's where Triple H turned on Seth Rollins, and Kevin Owens became Universal Champion, which in my opinion, besides the whole bloodline stuff that he's doing now, that was one of the best ways he was being booked, was the whole him and Chris Jericho thing.
Oh yeah, that was great. That was
the
fantastic.
Universal Champion. And I think we would have never gotten that if Finn Balor,
I think
was
KO
champion.
would have eventually still fell in his own, but maybe on SmackDown or something. Like, I don't know, US champion. He had a great run to the US championship at that point already. Like, I don't know. I just want to see. I think I'd give up those storylines to see the Demon get its due in a way, because like the Demon didn't get its due afterwards until a long time away, and then at WrestleMania when he finally got to have that match, I mean, Finn 14 staples, dude. Like, who knows how long that match was supposed to be? A lot longer. They even said it. They had so much more planned. Mm-hmm. But who knows when we'll see the Demon again?
And that's the thing, like, injuries is always one of those biggest what-ifs in sports, even basketball, like, with Derrick Rose tearing his, ACL. He was one of the youngest MVPs in basketball, and then he tore his ACL, and that's one of the biggest what-ifs in NBA. And, like, with WWE, with injuries, that's always been, the biggest what-ifs. Even with, wrestling deaths, there's been a lot of what-ifs as well. And like even, one guy that there's a lot of what ifs that I think about a lot, and he's an old school guy, is, the Rocket, Owen Hart.
Bro, you're nothing but love, man. Like, Owen was incredible. Incredible. He would have been world champion. I don't think he would have left for WCW. I think he would have stayed with WWE. I think he eventually would have got a title run. I would have loved to think that. I mean, even just to have more matches with him, dude, to have him retire, that would have been great. Another one like that to me, that this is another what if. Well, not really a what if, is I wish. I mean, I really wish Kurt Hennig had that one world title run. Mr. Perfect with the world championship. Just, if you look at the IC title matches that man had, dude, and just some of the matches he had in general.
So incredible.
Dude.
I actually really did enjoy Curtis Axel, too.
Yeah, he wasn't that bad, man. His kid's not that bad. Wow, you can tell I have kids that just called him a fucking kiddo. Wow.
But honestly, like, that's the thing. Like, there's so many, like, underrated talent with, like, what ifs. Like, for me, with the PG era, there's one person in particular that I think about, and that's Damian Sandow.
Bro, I was going to say, in my head, I'm like, he's going to say Damian Sandow.
I'm so mad that they failed his cash in with the Money in the Bank because he had the character. He had the heat.
Bro,
he had the character. Even William Regal went on his villain podcast and even said, I don't know why WWE fumbled Damian Sandow.
And they didn't just fumble, they fumbled him so fucking hard, dude. So fucking hard, man. He had everything going at that point. Oh, and I mean,
especially the Money in the Bank too, because like the Money in the Bank has always been one of those biggest what ifs.
Yeah, that's a huge what if. That's a huge what if. Same with Mr. Kennedy then too, man. Think about that. Him dropping the Money in the Bank.
Oh my God. I loved Mr. Kennedy, man, as a kid. I loved when the microphone came out and like he would just get on the mic, Mr. Kennedy.
Jesus. So before we
then as the announcer would go to say something, you would go, Kennedy.
Yeah. I gotta say, man, before we wrap up today on the Kennedy thing too, dude. Money in the Bank. Who's your prediction for men and who's your prediction for women?
Ooh, damn. So for the men, I said this on my live stream for WWE United Champions. I think that I wouldn't mind seeing, because I did see some reports that Logan Paul could be appearing in the Money in the Bank.
I did see that too, dude. I mean,
I kind of want to see what they could do with Logan Paul as the Money in the Bank winner. He can have it on his podcast, Impulsive. You never know when he's going to show up. Cashes in on Seth Rollins, gets his revenge from his loss at WrestleMania, and then there you go. You can have a feud with him and Seth Rollins for a couple of the Premier Live events. Seth Rollins, ends up getting the title back somehow.
Bro, I love it. I mean, here's my admission.
And you could do it towards WrestleMania season. You can have Logan Paul have the briefcase until the Rumble. Rollins can have a great match with maybe like Gunter or something. Rollins retains the title, then Logan Paul comes out, wins the championship, and then there you go. WrestleMania, you can have Seth freaking Rollins versus Logan Paul too. Except
that'd be fun,
for the
man.
championship and long-term storytelling.
I love Logan Paul. I love what he brings to the business. I love him in the ring. Like, people were like, oh, well, he was just carried by good guys. No, that kid is just so fucking good at everything he does. It's scary.
Another one I wouldn't complain about, which I know is the popular opinion right now for all, pro wrestling fans, and I'm sure you're going to say his name, LA Knight.
Yeah. I like that. I do like that. Is he, dude, he deserves it. God, he deserves it.
I've been enjoying his work, man, going back to Impact Wrestling as Eli Drake.
Eli Drake, dude. Fuck yeah, man.
I remember that first promo he cut with, I believe he cut the promo with Drew Galloway and I think Camacho. He was like Hudiko's partner there.
Yep. Yeah, my favorite promo he did in TNA is where he was just looking at the camera and he goes, I'm like every one of you. I really am. I pay my taxes, I do this, I do that, and made the audience think like, oh, wow, he's one of us. And then he just twists it to like, yeah, but the only difference is the girl that's here with you, she's wishing you looked like me. She's wishing you were me. She's wishing you were as talented. And it just turned into this heel promo that was just so like up and down and effortless, bro. Like, I mean, he's so good on the mic. He's so good in the ring. I mean, fuck, dude, he did all the mocap for the WWE games for how fucking long, dude?
Yeah. Long time.
Long time. That guy deserves a push. But dude, I mean, I'll be honest, man. Like, yeah, I mean, he's a pick I'd love to see. I love the Logan Paul idea too, man. Like, it's shit. Yeah, I was going to say LA Knight because he deserves a push. But now that you said Logan and put my head on that part, bro, I mean, that makes sense. I love that idea.
And the Money in the Bank is so unpredictable, so why not give it to somebody that's so unpredictable?
And him bringing it with him on the podcast, bringing it to red carpets, bro, it's so good for business.
Really good for business, and that's the big thing in WWE that makes them stand out more than any wrestling promotion is, the media. And having Logan Paul carrying that briefcase, going on his podcast, teasing, oh, I'm going to cash it in. Yeah. I might show up to this random episode of Raw. Like, it just adds suspense to it.
And with Endeavor, dude, and the UFC partnership now, man, like, they're all over Logan Paul, too, probably, dude. So, like, it all makes sense, man. He's great for the business right now because he's going to put eyes on it that we wouldn't normally have had before. Same with Bad Bunny. Bad Bunny was great for what he did, dude. But, like, Logan in the ring looks like one of the guys. Like, I could sit there and have someone who doesn't know who Logan Paul is watch a Logan Paul match, and they'd be like, who's that guy? He's good.
Yeah. And there's one more what if I want to talk about before we dive into what situations are better with the what ifs, old school or new school. There's one more I definitely want to talk about today's era. And I gotta say, what if Edge didn't leave Judgment Day right away? Because the Judgment Day, they originally started off with Edge and Damian Priest. Rhea Ripley joins the group. And then this was around the time where Vince McMahon, was leaving WWE. And then Triple H was taking over. And then, they decided to have, Edge get turned on. And then eventually, we get Dominic in the situation. And the Judgment Day, has gotten bigger than we thought it was going to be.
Oh, yeah, way bigger. I remember reading something that Edge didn't want like a supernatural gimmick or something weird with it, and he was afraid that people were trying to change it. So him like leaving was better for him, I guess. But like him staying, I mean, dude, I'm here for heel edge. I loved heel edge. I loved like the new version of heel edge, the not rated R superstar version. It was really fucking cool. I wish we could have saw it longer, dude. Yeah, I wish that could have went a little bit longer than it did. That would have been great.
So yeah, no, like for me, like thinking about the whole, Edge leaving Judgment Day thing, I wouldn't have mind that if they did it at a later time. Because for me, I'm always looking at it from long-term storytelling. And for me, I feel like you could have had Finn Balor join the group, similar to like The Rock with Nation of Domination. Yes. And then eventually, you could have had that big payoff where Finn Balor becomes the leader of the Judgment Day, takes out Edge on a bigger stage.
Yeah,
than
like
just
a
a random
SummerSlam
episode
or a
of
Survivor
Raw.
Series, yeah.
Then Dominic gets involved, of course, like they did at Clash at the Castle. And then I think that the Judgment Day could be even more bigger than what it is. But I'm glad that the Judgment Day is, getting as big as it is. Because Rhea Ripley's more over than she's ever been. Dominic's getting the heat. Damian Priest is, putting on some of the best matches. And Finn Balor, is doing something completely different.
Yeah, it's great. I love what they're doing with Judgment Day. I think I would. I'm with you on that. I think you could have done everything they're doing now while still making it last longer if they could have. That would have been great. But I mean, what I also see in the dirt sheets right now is JD McDonough.
JD McDonough, I want that. I've been saying that before the dirt sheets, man.
And being the new leader of Judgment Day eventually, like doing that storyline with him. I'm all here for that. That'd be great.
This is what I said on a recent episode of the We Are Wrestling podcast, which to the We Are Wrestling Maniacs, you can check that out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or YouTube every Saturday on the YouTube channel. But here's what I said about that whole, JD McDonough thing. What they could do is Finn Balor, hasn't been winning big matches. Mm-hmm. And I know that WWE has very big plans for Damian Priest. So what you could do is have JD McDonough join the group and then have Damian Priest take out Finn Balor out of the group. Yeah. And then there you go. Finn Balor can go back to being the Demon and being one of the top baby faces in WWE. And Damian Priest could be the leader of the Judgment Day that can lead him into the World Heavyweight title picture.
I love it. I love that too, man. That's another great call. That's good long-term storytelling. And I agree. I'm with you 100%. That's why I love wrestling. Is waiting for those storylines that are just like, the build-up is better than like the payoff most of the time. That's what I tell my kids when we go on vacation. I'm like, listen, the build-up right now, these like 50-day countdowns where we're taking something out and we're waiting, and then it's 52 days. Now it's 51 days. You don't realize it, but this is the most fun you're going to have, and this is going to be the core memory. Because once we're there, it's over. It's that build-up, man, to that moment that makes the moment so much better. And that's
why the road to WrestleMania is so successful.
Bingo, man. And that's why I love wrestling, because wrestling can do that over a long period of time and just can consistently do it and invent new characters. It's the best of TV and movies and combat sports all rolled into one, man. It's fantastic. It's why I love wrestling.
Yeah. And now, usually with every episode of Old School versus New School, we end it off with this. When it comes to what-if scenarios, which one outweighs the other, Old School or New School?
This one, I got to go old school. If the NWO didn't happen the way it did with Kevin Nash, Scott Hall, I don't know where the fuck the business would be. I don't know. I mean, no one really could know. There's a whole new timeline somewhere where that didn't happen. And I would fucking give anything just to fucking take a peek at what that would be.
I'm not gonna lie, I wish like with the NWO, like they kept it small. Like I wish it like didn't become like
got oversaturated
a big
really
thing
quick.
With like 100 people in it. Like I wish they kept it the original core.
Yeah, but it's not even. But for me, it's not even about the storyline in that aspect of the thing. It's about what it did to the business. It was the fact that they made Hogan a bad guy. That's cool, but it also wrestling transcended after that. You gotta remember the Karl Malones, the Jay Leno's, dude. Like
Dennis
Rodman. There was some wacky shit because of that stuff, dude. Like it was
Mike Tyson.
Mainstream. Would wrestling have gotten mainstream again? What would have did it? What was the moment that made it go mainstream? those are questions that, like I said before, you could talk for hours on, like, who would have stepped up? Who could have left to do something like that? Would wrestling have ever gotten big? Would this person have come in? How would this have happened? It all goes back to the biggest moment, in my opinion, in wrestling history is the formation of the NWO. It changed the game. It changed wrestling forever.
So I'm going to have to agree with you. I'm going to go with the Old School on this one because in Old School, without the reality in the pro wrestling, everything would not be happening like it is. Wrestling would not be where it's at today if it wasn't for the Attitude Era, going from this cartoon thing to, like, you know, having Stone Cold giving stunners, you know, drinking beer and flipping people off. Yep. And even like The Rock, another very iconic, you know, guy who's right now taking over in Hollywood. He would have not been able to take over Hollywood if he didn't have that platform to, you know, get the mic and just freestyle.
Like I said, boom, big picture. It's a world thing. You look at it, dude, like you just said with The Rock. Would The Rock have made those movies? Would he be the biggest thing? Where's the world without The Rock? It's like The Rock was also birthed from the beginning of the Attitude Era, because other than that, he was Rocky Maivia, bro.
And Rocky Maivia would not be being a tooth fairy. He would not be being a scorpion. He would not be a football player.
He wouldn't crash the DC universe as we know it. Oh.
Yeah, there's a lot of things. Like, I don't think Rocky Maivia would be on our movie screens.
No, absolutely not, dude. We wouldn't have.
And that is the best way to end this week's episode, the finale of Old School versus New School, I think.
Because you can't go anywhere from here, man. You can't. You legitimately can't go anywhere from here. It's like, okay, biggest what if. NWO never existed. Hogan didn't turn into a bad guy. Hall and Nash never left.
And then we never would have got The Rock.
Make after that.
We would have never got The Rock. And honestly, like, Hollywood would not be where it's at without The Rock. So
no?
Old School definitely kicks New School's ass when it comes to the what if. Just on there.
There you go, dude.
That's right. And before we, you know, close it off like we usually do, Phil and I, we do have an announcement to, you know, the We Are Wrestling Maniacs, the Blitzkrieg faithful who, you know, tune into the podcast and stuff. Phil and I, we are going to be having a new series on the We Are Wrestling channel where we're going to be, you know, showcasing independent talent. And we really want to not only interview these guys and see how they got into the business, what inspired them to get to where they're at, we also want to showcase them as well and, like, do something completely different that a lot of people aren't doing in the wrestling community.
Bingo,
and
man.
it's going to be completely different than a regular shoot interview or just a normal interview. It's going to be completely different.
We have the ability to get to know these people on a ground level beforehand. I mean, I've worked with some of these people now for over a year, and it's like these guys are the future of the business, and we're getting them before they're on your big screens. And let me tell you this, if you look at just some of the people that came in Blitzkrieg alone over the past 5 years, you, Donnie, know, I mean, you got your MJS, you got your fucking goddamn, like, BSK, you got your goddamn Chris Statlander, you got your Max Caster, you got, there's a list, man. And I mean, there's people who are there now who you could go see on July 7th in Enfield, Connecticut at the Luau, the 5th anniversary. It's going to be great.
That's right.
Tickets on sale now. That you're going to see that are the future MJFs, the future Max Casters, that you're going to be like Donnie and be like, hey, I saw you here with MJF. I mean,
I always say it, man. Support independent wrestling. I met MJF at Blitzkrieg Pro in 2018. Only spent $10 on an 8x10 and a photo with him. Now he's charging just $100 for an autograph, just $100 for a photo. Even, you know, charging me $50 just for him to open up a fucking present.
I saw that. That was fantastic, dude.
He's a We Are Wrestling Maniac, and I got to give back to my fans, especially my buddy Max.
Hell yeah, man. Give it to Max, dude. There's so much talent out there right now in the Northeast territories, especially in my opinion, that are going to be top tier talents in this business. And we're also getting to see a lot of these guys who left the WWE and left AEW come and put on a new type of show and rebuild their gimmicks. And let's not
Matt
think that
Cardona.
it's not impossible, dude. Look at Drew Galloway. Look at his run on the independents. Look at Cody Rhodes.
Can't forget Matt Cardona, man, too.
Fuck yeah, dude. He reinvented the indie god. Look at what he did on the indies. It's there are so many talented people out there. Like, I mean, Bryce Donovan for the men.
Oh my
Bobby
God,
Orlando.
man. I got to say, speaking of Bryce Donovan, I've always watched him in Blitzkrieg Pro.
Yep.
But going to Create a Pro in Long Island, I couldn't believe how main event worthy he was. Like, he was the top guy over there.
Bro.
And he had the entire crowd on their feet for him.
He is fucking incredible. He is incredible, dude. And I mean, for the women, you got like Ava Everett. Like that girl is incredible. She has everything. The Y2 cutie, man. That's someone who I think we should get on the show as well, man. It's like these are people who are going to be transitioning into bigger pictures very soon, and we get them first. Meaning, when they go bigger, we can still get them because it's a personal thing. So yeah, it's a good way to close out, man. I can't wait to start that.
So.
More things coming soon. I mean, we don't even have a name for this thing yet, but it's going to be something fun for sure.
But there's a lot of things, in the works. Me and Phil, we both have such a passion and love for this business, and especially independent wrestling. And that's something that we're really going to showcase on this new series. Hopefully comes out later 2023. But we're going to have more details, within, the next few months. Phil and I were working on this every week, talking about it, and we got some really awesome ideas in store because we don't want to be just like every other wrestling podcast out there where we just interview the guy, that's it. We want to also showcase them so that maybe there's other independent promotions out there that see a guy like Bobby Orlando or Bryce Donovan, and they look at even the highlights that we add into, the podcast and say, wow, I could use a guy like him. Maybe even like Scott D'Amore in Impact Wrestling or somebody, like Billy Corgan sees, the interview or sees like the highlight reel we put together.
Dude, look at the Northeast Beast, man. That gets a human highlight reel.
Catapult We Are Wrestling, but also give these independent guys a platform to just, take off, like Cameron Grimes would say, to the moon.
There you go, man. I mean, I want to see these new guys getting the love, man, because they're going to be the future of this business. And just to say that we were there for it and be part of it in a way is something that, like, I can't wait to give and translate and give back to the fans as well. And I mean, I said to myself, what platform should we do this on? And me and Donnie talked, and why not the We Are Wrestling platform, man? 4,000 subscribers already, ready to grow and grow and grow. So let's just get growing.
And we're talking about new talent, new series, and now I know there's some old school versus new school maniacs that are probably wondering, what is next for this podcast? Chaz and I, we had 14 episodes we did together, and unfortunately, Chaz isn't no longer a part of the We Are Wrestling channel, and, now, what is next for old school versus new school? I will say this will not be the end of old school versus new school. This, series will come back eventually. We will have a season 2. But for now, with the We Are Wrestling YouTube channel, we want to continue to, expand our horizons. We want to try different things and continue doing what we're doing. So to the, old school versus new school maniacs, there's plenty of awesome content on the We Are Wrestling YouTube channel. But if you guys enjoyed this week's last episode of Old School versus New School, make sure to smash that like button now. If you're not We Are Wrestling Maniac yet already, subscribe, turn on the post notifications. Thank you for 4,000 subscribers. We will be having an announcement coming out pretty soon. We're going to be doing a giveaway, and there's going to be a huge announcement for when we reach 5,000.
Ooh, I like that. Let's make that quick then.
The link's down in the description below. You can go follow Phil and I on our social medias, and you can go follow me on my other YouTube channels. All the links down below. If you're into, collectibles and toys, go check out Best One Donnie, my personal YouTube channel. I'm doing unboxings on there every other day. And if you're into basketball, especially Brooklyn Nets, I'm doing videos once a week over on the DBTV YouTube channel. All the links down in the description below. In addition, you want shorter clips of the podcast, we're posting them on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. All the links down below, including the tickets for, Blitzkrieg Luau. If you guys want to, come out to, just a fun night of pro wrestling in the New England area, in Enfield, Connecticut, at the Pierogi Hall, the links are down below. Get your tickets, because the We Are Wrestling crew, myself, I'll be there. Phil will be announcing, getting everybody off their feet. You're not going to want to miss it. All the links down below. And of course, to all the We Are Wrestling Maniacs out there worldwide, the Blitzkrieg faithful, we are taking over. Peace.